and reliable manner to get started with laboratory work on the physical plane, serving to strengthen the bond that you are laying down in the subconscious. Just try to remember, you are having to deprogram aspects that have been solidified or latent since around the time you are given a name. So performing laboratory work is a very beneficial way to ensure that the messages are making it to the needed faculties. There are a couple types of physical alchemy to work with, as well as many methods. For the purposes discussed here, we will not be going into any advanced work. It would require a great deal of precautions and go beyond the current scope of things. In what is known as mineral alchemy, you have what correlates to the advanced stages of alchemy, known as the great work. You should begin with the physical work which is relevant to where you are at this time. Otherwise, it will be far less effective. In the beginning of our journey, we have what is known as the lesser work, in which we begin to work with plant alchemy in the area of spiritual and physical medicine called spagyrics. These are the beginning stages of the physical work that is to be performed on the physical plane as experiments. As in quantum physics, where we are increasingly seeing the role that the observer plays in scientific experiments, so we also have with alchemy, where the alchemists themselves are seen with great importance to their experiments. In fact, this is what separates the creation of an elixir from that of merely a tincture, which can be found at many health food stores. It is this interaction with the subtle energies of the alchemist which greatly adds to an elixir's spiritual and medicinal benefit. Remember the motto Solvet Coagula. This is put into practice here. The plant or herb used contains the dual nature, its soul or essence, and its body or matter. You will use or add spirit, in this case alcohol, to separate them for purification and later to hold them together when coagulated. In the creation of a true and basic elixir in plant alchemy, you will do the following. But first, you will need some materials to get started. A mortar and pestle, or something similar, for grinding the herb. 1 ounce of the herb of your choice, according to the qualities of healing you are creating the elixir for. For example, the sun, you will use an herb that is ruled by the sun. An 8-ounce jar, such as a mason jar. A bottle of grain alcohol, or high-proof vodka for separation. A glass pan for calcination. A fine filter for separation of the liquid from the plant matter. Coffee filters for glue. A funnel will also make the transfer for the solution easy. And a bottle, preferably with a dropper, for dispensing the elixir. When you are ready to begin, read through the following steps several times and familiarize yourself with them. This is also done to enter a certain mind state for the metaphysical operations you are about to undertake. Let's say you are creating an elixir with solar properties. Begin first with a prayer or meditation on the qualities of the solar principle, and ask that these qualities may be perfected in you through your experiment. Hold this state and begin. Take an herb which is ruled by the sun, such as eyebright, during the day ruled by the sun, which is Sunday, and during an hour ruled by the sun, and place the herb in a mortar and pestle. Begin to grind down the herb to a fine powder, meditating on your salt or body being used for the work. Your soul is being used for your intent, and are being blended with the energies of the herb through your work. At the same time, the process and vice versa is being done to you, the union of both yourself and the herb with its qualities. When the herb is a powder, it is now ready for efficient extraction. Take the powder and place it in a jar, pouring an equal amount of alcohol into the jar while meditating on the fact that you are causing separation of the soul from the body of the herb, while at the same thing is happening to you so that the soul and body can be purified. Shake vigorously and cover the top of the jar with plastic wrap. Then screw down the lid around the wrap. This forms a tight seal and ensures that the vapor does not come in contact with any metal. You can also use rubber bands if no lids are available. Place the solution somewhere away from sunlight and allow sitting for at least 2 weeks, or even better, use the alchemist's month of 40 days. Switch the jar around every few days to ensure proper penetration of the spirit being used. After sufficient time has passed, the soul of the herb will be fully dissolved and suspended in spirit, and the dead matter or caput mortem can now be separated and purified as a salt. Place the filter into a funnel or use the corner of a plastic bag and begin to pour the solution out of the jar and into a bottle. To be the most efficient, you may want to place the soaked plant material into the filter and wring out any remaining solution. The solution should be a dark color, with most of the bright green color having faded away, the impurities left behind of the soul attached to the matter. Be sure to properly label your elixir and then store away from sunlight. You now have a solution of the plant soul suspended in spirit, and it is time to perform calcination. This is done in order to purify the salt or body so it can be rejoined with its soul. Throughout this process, you have been closely observing the stages that spirit, soul, and body have been working with the plant. Through resonance, you are attuning to these stages yourself with your subtle energy. At the same time work is being performed below, it is being done above as well. Remember, you are in nigredo and beginning to look at the constituent parts of the whole individually. To begin the next stage, it is good to have adequate ventilation, or even better, perform the task outdoors as smoke will be created. On the appropriate ruling day and hour of the herb, put the soaked plant material on a fire-safe glass pan or similar container. Then place your fire or will on the matter. The spirit will act as a fuel and ignite the calcination process, quickly blackening the matter. Meditate on the aspect of placing your consciousness on your impurities. Stir occasionally with a metal rod or butter knife until the spirit has burned off and the matter is dry and blackened. You may see small spots of whiteness and purity beginning to appear. Take the blackened matter and place it in your mortar and pestle, grinding the salts to a fine powder and breaking it down further into its parts. Place the powder back in the pan and drip a small amount of spirit or alcohol on it and place fire against it again, allowing it to calcine as before. Repeat this process as needed until the powder has become as white as possible. Observe closely during the calcination process and meditate on our previous discussion concerning applying heat to ourselves. This helps burn off impurities of the soul and body during nigredo until we begin to see the whiteness appear through the blackness and enter albedo. The pure white salts can now be stored away from sunlight and are ready to use. Again, be sure to label appropriately. If you are ready to complete the process and begin taking your elixir, begin on the ruling day and hour for the herb being used in the elixir, and place a pinch of the salts in a spoon. Use the dropper to soak the salts with the soul or essence of the herb, and the spirit will coagulate the soul and body to recombine completely purified. Meditate for a moment concerning the completion of this process being done. You have brought it from the beginning to this point over the past couple weeks, and have captured the process into a consumable talisman to take in its subtle energies. You can now take the elixir. In all likelihood, you will not see any effects of the talisman at first. Alchemical or spagyric tinctures are very subtle. You will see the benefits quickly of anything related to the physical properties of the herb being used. However, the spiritual properties may begin to manifest in other areas, such as meditation or dream states first. The important thing to note is that you have fully begun the appropriate process for initiation and started to awaken your subtle faculties. To help you develop in a balanced way, it is suggested that you create an appropriate tincture for each day of the 7 days prior to beginning taking them. This is most easily done by having all of your supplies together and creating them one per day, each day, beginning with Sunday. As stated previously, you should have a working knowledge of the herbs you plan to use in your elixir. If you would like to get started with the ones shown here, which are safe unless you are pregnant or nursing, their names are as follows. Eyebright, a memory aid and anti-inflammatory. Watercress, an antioxidant, an expectorant, and digestive aid. Watercress also has anti-angiogenic and cancer-suppressing properties. Basil, an antioxidant, anti-cancer, antiviral, and antimicrobial. Basil also reduces platelet aggregation. Fennel, a gastrointestinal tonic and anti-flatulent. lemon balm.